Guys, Mr. Bowman here. Today's learning objective is in yellow and we are learning about the surface area of 3D shapes. So surface area is going to be a new concept to us and it relates to the area of the faces in 3D shapes. And get into a quick example. So let's say we got maybe some kind of cuboid. So we're not calculating the volume, so I should note that. So a lot of people think, oh, it's a 3D shape, we're finding the volume. Not the case. We're actually finding, if we found the area of this face here, and then the area of the top face, and maybe the area of that face, and actually the bottom as well, and the part there we can't see, and the side there we can't see, what would the total area of that be? This is when the net skills we learned about in the previous learning objective are going to come into play, because the bottom would be down there, there would be the two sides, there would be the smaller sides, and you'd have the top somewhere. You would then basically label each of the shapes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. And your surface area, so we'll call it SA for surface area, would be the sum of all of those 1 all the way through to 6. So we're finding the area of the surface. Makes sense? Given the name. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to change the pen colors. We're going to use the orange pen, and we're going to have a go at that first question. Yeah, the first one at the top here. The first step you probably want to be doing is you want to be thinking about the net of your shape. So I always start off with the base. So there's my rectangular base. And that there is 8 by 6. So this diagram is definitely not to scale. Probably draw that 6 inside the shape actually. We're then going to have the two sides. So that's the flat side here and at the back. So if we collapse that down, the 8 is going to stay the same, but the height of 5 is going to appear on the side. And the same with the back of the shape. We're going to collapse that down. It's going to have 8 and it's going to have 5. You've then got the sides, so the side of the shape here and the back part there that we can't see. That's going to come off the side of the base. The 6 is still relevant, and the 5 being the height comes into play. And we've got the same on the other side, so we've got the 6 down here and the 5 down here. And finally, we've got the top of the shape kind of up the top there. That matches the base of the shape, so it's going to be the 8, and it's going to be by the 6. So hopefully you can see the net that I've drawn here. And just to help our working, I'll change pen colors again. So the surface area is going to be equal to basically the area of these 6 faces added together. And there's a couple tricks here. So we're going to go 1 plus 2 plus 3 plus 4 plus 5 plus 6. And a couple of things to note. The base of our shape, number 3, is actually going to be the same as the roof of our shape. So instead of having 3 and 6, that's actually going to be 2 lots of 3. The sides, so 2 and 4, they're actually going to be the same as well. So it's going to be plus 2 times surface number 2, and then the same for the remaining bits. So those would have been the other sides, 1 and 5. So it's going to be 2 lots of 1 as well, plus 2 times the 1. And each of those shapes are all rectangles. So what we're going to do is we're going to go 2 times the base and the height, which in this case for 3, for that base of it, is going to be 2 times 8. We're then going to have a look at shape number 2. That's 5 and 6. So it's going to be 2 times 5 times 6. And then finally, it's going to be the same for the one shape up the very top. That's 5 by 6. So it's going to be 2 times 8 times 5. And once you've done that, you're just going to go ahead, add them all together, find your answer. So 2 times 6 times 8 plus 2 times 5 times 6 plus 2 times 8 times 5. And I'm getting 236 centimeters squared. Just noting it is still an area measurement. Make sure you got that squared there. So that's our first question done. I'm just going to clear some of this blue writing that we had there for our notes first, and we'll be able to get into that cylinder. And like we did for the cuboid up the top, the first thing we're going to want to be doing is really drawing that net and having a good understanding what are the components of the net, and how can we do that. So cylinders were a bit weird. Hopefully you remember from the net video, we had to chop the side and kind of pull it back in this direction, pull it back in this direction, and that resulted in a bit of a rectangle. So we'll draw that rectangle, and that then left the top and the bottom two circles attached to either side of that. So circle here, circle here. We know a bit of information about the circles. We know they've got radiuses of 4 centimeters. So that's pretty easy to add into our net, 4 centimeters. And we know the height, which is going to be this dotted line over here, that there is 9 centimeters there. But the only issue is we didn't actually know the base of our rectangle there. But if you think about the shape, the base of that rectangle would have been the circumference of the top circle. So that kind of base, that there would have been 2 pi r being the circumference. So we can go ahead and find that now, actually. 2 times pi times 4. You need your calculator for this, and make sure you round appropriately. 2 times pi times 4. I'm getting 25.13 centimeters, and that there had a 2 dp rounding. So I've got my understanding of my shape. I'm going to change pen colors again. This is when we're going to need just to label our shape. So number 1, number 2, and number 3. So the surface area of the cylinder, so surface area, that's going to be equal to 1 plus 2 plus 3. So I'm setting up a bit of an equation here. We know that 1 and 2 are actually the same. So that there's going to be 2 times 1 plus 3. We know that 1 is a circle, so that's going to be pi r squared. So that's going to be 2 times pi times r squared. And we're going to be adding base times height for the rectangle part of it, which is 3. I'm now going to substitute because I actually know what r is, I know what the base is, and I know what the height is. So 2 times pi times 4 squared. We're then going to add 25.13, which is the base of the rectangle or the circumference of the top circles, and we're going to multiply that by the height of 9. Equals, this is when we're going to need our calculator. No way I'll be doing this by heart. So we're going to have 2 times pi times 4 squared. We're then going to add 25.13 times 9, and I'm getting a total of 326.7 centimeters squared. Just noting that there was impacted by rounding earlier, so I'm just noting that's an estimate to 1 decimal point. So we've done that one there, and our final question is one where we don't know one of the sides, but we've been given the surface area already, so we're going to have to work backwards to find this. I'm going to clear a bit from my first question just to give me some room to set up an equation and do some working. And we'll change pen colors. Maybe we'll get into yellow for the pen color over here. So the surface area of this shape is going to be equal to all of the sides again. And I'm not going to draw a net for this one, but we can kind of picture the net. So the net is going to be, so there's the top of the shape. It's going to be the top and the bottom of that shape underneath is going to be the exact same. And that's going to be 10 times 4. And there's 2 of those, so that there would be 80. So the surface area is going to be 2 times that 40 side. I'm now going to deal with the sides, or the smaller sides. So that there is, oh gosh, I've written 10, but the height is actually x. So that there's going to be 4x. And so is that back side of that shape as well. So it's going to be plus 2 times 4x. And the sides of our shape, they're going to be 10x, 10 times x. and the back part of that's going to be the same. So, oh gosh, I wrote equals, but we're going to be adding 2 times 10x. Now, we've got the beginnings of an equation. I'm also going to substitute the surface area into that. And then I'm going to simplify this right-hand side to make it solvable. So I know 276, which is the surface area, is going to be equal to 80 plus 8x plus 28x. I'm going to group together the x's. So this is why I like equations. If I can form an equation, have one variable, I can do anything I want and go ahead and solve it. So 276 is equal to 80 plus 28. Oh no, that should be 36x. No, that is 28. I've just done a mistake here. That's 20 there. 28x. We're then going to go minus 80, minus 80. So 196 is going to be equal to 28x. And we're going to go divide by 28, divide by 28. Just finish my working slightly off center. 196. I'm using my calculator for this. 196 divided by 28. That gives me to 7. Really important, don't forget your units, 7 centimeters. And because this relates to the length of the height that I'm scribbling in there, we don't need squared because it's not a area related number, it's a length related number. So hopefully you found this video on surface areas useful. A lot of it's going to be about drawing the nets, breaking the shape down into its smaller parts, and as always, forming equations which you can go ahead and use. So thank you so much for watching, guys. Now let's get into heaps and heaps of practice.